On the evening of May 14th, 2024, residents of eastern Valencia were going about their day as normal. It was a Tuesday, a rather beautiful one, with temperatures in the 70s. These same factors that people in Valencia were appreciating would become a crucial part of one of the worst tornado outbreaks in the region's history that would leave over 1,000 dead just hours later. This is the story of the May 14th, 2024 tornado outbreak. The year is 2024. Some severe thunderstorms and tornadoes have happened across Valencia in February, March, and April. Tornadoes were also expected for the month of May. When looking at May 2024, it was extremely active in the first 10 days of the month, with several tornadoes and severe thunderstorm events taking place, primarily in northeastern Fictonia. On May 10th, a dangerous pattern was beginning to shape for May 14th, and later that afternoon, a Day 5 outlook was created, showing a 30% potential of severe weather across mainly Iredale and Valencia. The following day, this was upgraded to a 45% risk, the first one to ever be issued. When the Day 3 outlook came on May 12th, this 45%, now a moderate risk, was extended south into extreme northern Deltaland. A hatched area of 45% probabilities is what triggered this moderate risk. A hatched risk in an outlook means that especially severe weather is expected. For instance, a hatched risk in a tornado outlook means EF2 plus tornadoes are possible. With this hatched 45% risk, people began to be concerned about what would happen on May 14th. It was only the day before the outbreak that the severity and danger of the event was finally realized. Extreme instability, with Cape approaching 5 to 6,000 joules per kilogram, would be present, and extreme amounts of lift would allow violent storms to develop. On May 13th, a high risk was issued for southern Auckland, southern Iredale, and eastern Valencia. This included a 45% hatched risk for tornadoes, a 60% hatched risk for damaging winds, and a 45% hatched risk for damaging hail. When the Day 1 outlook would come at 5 p.m. on May 14th, people were shocked. The high risk was shifted to only include Iredale and Valencia, as the potential storms appeared to become more localized than what was originally expected. What was shocking, however, was the probabilities. A 60% hatched risk of tornadoes was placed over far south central Iredale and northeastern Valencia, the first ever 60% risk. However, the wind and hail risks were surprisingly downgraded. With this high probability of tornadoes in mind, people in Iredale and Valencia began to panic, and with good reason. At 5:10 p.m. Eastern, a mesoscale discussion was issued for southwestern Auckland, northeastern Deltaland, southeastern Florence, much of Iredale, and eastern Valencia. This MCD had a 100% watch probability, and the text read, "Extremely dangerous long-track tornadoes expected. PDS tornado watch needed as soon as possible." And just 10 minutes later, this tornado watch would be issued. Around this time, storms began to explode, and just minutes after the watch was issued, the first tornado warning would be issued.
The National Weather Service in Greenville-Spartanburg has issued a tornado warning for northwestern Cambria County in southern Florence, northeastern Winchester County in southern Florence, until 6 p.m.
Several other tornado warnings would be issued over the next 20 minutes. The first tornado of the day touched down 2 miles southwest of the town of Windham in Winchester County, Florence. Unfortunately for the residents of the town, it was moving directly towards them. At 5:30 p.m., the tornado went straight through the town at EF4 intensity, causing significant damage and unfortunately killing one person. The tornado continued northeast through rural areas of Cambria, Montgomery, Rockingham, and Halifax counties before dissipating. At 5:35 p.m., another tornado touched down near Cyclone City, Valencia, in Northumberland County. This tornado was weak in nature and moved through extremely rural areas of Northumberland and Potter counties. When it crossed into Tioga County, it crossed Fictonia Route 4, causing 3 deaths as many cars were flipped or tossed by the tornado. The tornado would then move more northeast instead of east, crossing into Iredale. It would move through rural areas of Goodland and western Rockbridge counties before coming uncomfortably close to the city of Rockbridge. Residents of Rockbridge were lucky, as if the tornado hit the city, it would have caused catastrophic damage. The tornado continued into Allegheny County, striking the town of Moshannon, killing 4 people. After this, the tornado moved into Wise and Woodland counties before finally dissipating. The third supercell to form of the day would form over central Valencia in a historically unstable environment with crazy high Cape values and intense wind shear. At 5:30 p.m., before there was even a tornado warning, a funnel would appear southeast of Putnam and was moving to the northeast. This funnel tried to drop several times, but was unsuccessful until 5:45 p.m., when this funnel rapidly descended to the ground and began violently spinning. The tornado immediately targeted the town of Chesterfield, which would do significantly damage at EF2 intensity. Sadly, Chesterfield Lake was packed with campers at the time, and 9 of these campers would perish as their trailers and tents were sucked into the tornado. The tornado would then cross Fictonia Route 6, entering mostly rural areas of Huntingdon County, but was starting to intensify. This tornado was moving in a way that paralleled Fictonia Route 6, which caused 4 people to be killed when their car was thrown from the tornado. When this tornado crossed into Clinton County, it set its sights on Cobb's Mills, a small settlement with only 60 people. The tornado would go directly through the area, sadly killing 20. Significant damage of EF4 intensity, however, would occur in the area. The tornado continued to the northeast, and it was at this time that a tornado emergency was issued. A 911 telephone outage emergency was also issued for Clinton County, and a local area emergency was issued for Lycoming County.
Tornado emergency for the warned area. The National Weather Service in Manchester has issued a tornado warning for southwestern Bradford County in northeastern Valencia, eastern Clinton County in northeastern Valencia, northwestern Haven County in eastern Valencia, northern Lycoming County in eastern Valencia, southeastern Tioga County in northeastern Valencia, until 7:45 p.m. At 6:46 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, a confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado was reported near Manchester, moving into the warned area. This is a tornado emergency for the warned area. This is a particularly dangerous situation. Take cover now.
This tornado was becoming a serious threat to those in the path, but thankfully the path spared Valencia City and Lockburg, as it passed right in between the settlements. When the tornado crossed into Lycoming County is when real concerns started, as the tornado was projected to hit Twisting Elm, and more dangerously, the Bradford County power plant. At 7:21 p.m., another tornado emergency was issued, which included Meridian and suburbs of Meridian.
Tornado emergency for the warned area. The National Weather Service in Manchester has issued a tornado warning for Belmont County in northeastern Valencia, southeastern Bradford County in northeastern Valencia, northwestern Haven County in eastern Valencia, northeastern Lycoming County in eastern Valencia, southeastern Susquehanna County in northeastern Valencia, until 8:45 p.m. At 7:21 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, a confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado was reported near Twisting Elm, moving into the warned area. This is a tornado emergency for the warned area. This is a particularly dangerous situation. Take cover now.
This was issued just minutes before the tornado would carve directly into Twisting Elm, which is where the first of the EF5 damage would be observed. The west side of the city was completely destroyed. 30 fatalities happened in Twisting Elm due to the tornado. As the tornado exited Twisting Elm, everyone's worst fears were coming true, as it was about to hit the Bradford County power plant, and at 7:25 p.m., that's exactly what happened. Much of the power plant was destroyed by the tornado, part of it at EF5 intensity. The destroyed reactors were undergoing a potential meltdown, and it was becoming a very dire situation for anyone within a 50-mile radius of the power plant. At this point, so many different alerts were in effect: a shelter-in-place warning, a nuclear power plant warning, and most importantly, immediate evacuations were going up everywhere within 50 miles of the plant, in fear of a full meltdown would happen. Thankfully, people quickly rushed in and were able to stop this meltdown from actually taking place. However, this was still the worst nuclear disaster in Fictonia history. Once the tornado crossed into Belmont County, all eyes were on the Meridian region, which contains over 200,000 residents. It was at this point that a miracle seemed to happen, as the tornado curved to the north, only hitting Bellevue and missing downtown Meridian. It was still unfortunate as 9 people lost their lives and dozens were injured here. At 8:25 p.m., the tornado, now a waterspout, moved off the coast and into the water, a relief for everyone. The nuclear disaster was avoided, and a disaster in Meridian was avoided. The fourth and final supercell of the day formed over Livingston County, Deltaland, and quickly produced a tornado. This tornado would traverse mostly rural areas before striking the town of Alpine in Alpine County, Deltaland. It would also go on to strike Corsica and Scollier County. In the end, this EF4 tornado killed 5 people. So, what did other people think of the event? It was just a normal day for most people for those not affected, but for those in Fictonia, it was anything but that. I remember seeing a high risk pop up in the SPC channel and I thought, whoa, this project is serious. At first, I kinda didn't just think about it much because I thought it was going to be a failed event or something like that since I was brand new. I didn't know much, but curiosity got the better of me, so I went back to check it out. That's when I started going through the server and thought, dang, this is low-key fire, I love this. Then the tornado warning went out, and that's when I actually started paying attention to the whole severe weather event. Once the PDS tornado warning hit, I went into full tracking mode like I was actually there in real life. That's how locked in I was on the project as soon as I got a closer look at everything. It was only a few minutes later, can't remember the exact time, but I can't really remember when the tornado emergency got issued. That's when I realized people in Fictonia were in some danger, but I didn't even care about those people. I only cared about the tornado because that's how he was. I started checking the scroll maps and followed the tornado paths, and I was blown away. All the towns, cities, and areas were mapped out, and I was impressed. I wish I could make something like that. I then checked the maps again, and I saw this nuclear power plant. I kept double-clicking, realizing, in my head, I was like, is there going to be a Chernobyl? Because I swear. And boom, the nuclear power plant warning happened, and the evacuation immediate. Finally, when it ended, I was shocked. I really loved this event, and it was something I've never seen before. Well, maybe in some EAS scenarios, but that's kind of different. This event is what really pulled me into the project. Something that kept me really in love with the project was the thought behind it all, the realism, the detail, the effort. It was all amazing. Overall, only 4 tornadoes touched down in this outbreak, however they were all violent, 3 EF4s and 1 EF5. In the end, 85 people would lose their lives and over 1,558 would be injured by this outbreak. 72 deaths and 1,485 injuries were attributed to just the power plant tornado, making it one of the deadliest tornadoes in Fictonia history. This was labeled one of the worst tornado outbreaks in Fictonia history and the worst nuclear disaster in Fictonia history.